finally. I've waited for what I consider to be the right representation of this guy for a long, long time. I absolutely drooled as a kid over his original release, that old G1 version that I think was based on Macross. Yeah, okay, it didn't look like the cartoon, but it was big and beautiful. But I always wanted one that put me in the mind of the character it's supposed to represent. Released as Jetfire, named on G1 as Skyfire, whatever you want to call this guy, this is it. And we're going to look at him next. He is the Generations release of a character that I have long admired. Stick around and we're going to look at this guy in all of his glory right here next on the channel. Welcome back, folks, and I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot, and it's great to have you back. Please, by all means, check me out on social media and my ongoing series, Machinery of Man, and my first novel, The Everything Factor, and we're going to look at this guy, Jetfire. Some people will call him Skyfire. The hardcore, the hardcore fans are probably going to know him from the original cartoon as that. And, I can't argue the point with them, to be perfectly honest. And we're going to try and adjust the camera a little bit here. See if we can't make it a little bit easier to see. I absolutely love this figure. I love this mold for it. And I know it's been used since this release to do a version of, Thundercracker and a version of Starscream and a version of Skywarp. And I could see what they were going for, but I don't think it works as well for them, even with the remolded parts, as it does for this guy. As always, we're going to look at the paint apps, the posability, playability, and of course his transformation. Let's begin with the paint apps. He's white and he's red. There you go. He is pretty much just as I would expect him to be. Back here, these black thrusters, and maybe if I bend his knees, we can bring him in closer. These black thrusters up here, I think they should be red. It should be one fairly large red piece. If you want, you can turn this around and have it facing up as two large red shoulder pauldrons, but I don't like that look as much. I can't remember if the instructions tell you to do this or not, but you can. If you want more red back there, you can. I don't like it quite as much. So I tend to leave it turned around this way. And it works for me. I'm okay with that. I love the chest, even though it's just molded in. I still love it. I absolutely adore the head sculpt. That puts me into the mind of the original character 100 different ways. Is he perfect with paint apps? Well, no, because of this piece, and I don't recall him having all of these weapons. Now, you can, if you're so inclined, you can remove them all. This just pegs onto the side over his landing gear wheel, by the way. Nice touch having a molded in hole in the weapon right here. And it just, pokes on the side of the leg, and you can do the same over here and pop that one off. And you can pop the ones off on his arms, and you can pop this one off and have him like this. Of course, a lot of people complain because you can see a lot of open plastic in his arms. I'm okay with leaving the guns on him. If you want them all off and you think that's a better representation, hey, go for it. And of course, you can kind of put these a whole bunch of ways. I love the head sculpt. You also have another option there because he does come with I guess it's supposed to be a battle mask faceplate, and it just fits on over the head. At least I think it just fits on over the head. There, yeah, it just fits on over the head. I think that's supposed to better resemble the toy with the face mask and whatnot. But it's his battle mask. I never ever have this on, and to take it back off, you basically just need to, if I can do it, you just pop it off. It pops on and off pretty securely, actually. Basically, there's a little notch down here in the chin, and it goes over a little notch on the chin right here, and then there's a notch up top, and that fits on over his head crest, for for lack of a better term. It's This goes in a bag. I don't need this. It just goes packed away. His weapons, well, you have these two leg guns. I'm calling them leg guns because they both have those holes. I like the exhaust, and I like the fact that it's molded in detail on it. They are chromed, and mine are in good shape, but I could see why a lot of people would have trouble with it. I thought about taking the chrome off, but I'll leave it for now and see how it goes. Then we have two more weapons. These are the ones that go on his arms. Again, molded. A lot of molded in detail. Also a lot of red chrome. I see what they were going for. I understand why they did it, but I would have been fine with just red plastic, or even, paint on gray plastic. And then we have his actual gun. And again, it's got a lot of great molded detail. I would have liked this in just a stark black, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a huge fan of the gun. Also, this backpack piece, I'll get that out of the way. This whole piece can come off. It too is a lot of chrome, and I feel like, do I have chipping? Yeah, I mean, I have, right up here, I have a chip, and I'm afraid that that's going to happen with a few of these chrome pieces over time. There are two pegs right here, and there are two holes on his back, and that just pegs into the holes. I leave it there. It can come off if you want it off, but I tend to just leave it there. This, you just saw what happened there. This gun has, fires quite far. The problem is, I don't really like it, because the trigger is extremely touchy, and I find I hit it all the time. So I'm going to armor this guy up and talk a little bit about his paint apps while I do so. His paint app score overall, I'm giving a 9. I'm giving a 9 because I think they're really good. They are not, they're not quite perfect, but they're really quite good. And, if you know the character, I think that you would look at this and say, yeah, that's him. And we will, how will we do this? Maybe on this side, and then maybe over here. No, here's what we'll do. This one will go in here. And you can see there's a lot of ways to do this. I mean, if you didn't want these guns on his arms, you could easily store them, for example, up on his, up on his wing. You can take this one and do the same and put it, take it out of his arm and put it up on his wing. You could take these leg ones and put it in the arms. There's a lot of holes and pegs and stuff on this guy. Same goes for this gun. You could always peg it in right here, as I originally had done when this review started. You can also come back on the back if you want and pop it in on the side of the backpack if you don't want it in his hand and you kind of want it out of the way. So many options. So now we will go into post-building, playabilities. Paint apps are 9. This guy's scoring great. Head moves way up. It moves down enough. it can go all the way around. The shoulders go out, they come in, all the way. The arms are on a pretty heavy ratchet, and you definitely get probably a little over 90 degrees, to be honest with you. There is a bicep swivel. No hand articulation. A little bit unfortunate there, but not a big deal for me. The shoulders are a soft ratchet, and it's a nice ratchet. They go forward and back. There is no waist swivel, but there kind of can't be because of transformation. The legs, clicky ratchet out, and well back. Nice deep knee bend, again on a soft ratchet. The feet, they can tilt forward and back, no side to side, and he can do the splits, but I find a lot of times in doing so you get this happen. This is his hip piece. You can see it over here as well. I find that they come untabbed, at least on my version, they come untabbed. It's not because I don't have them tabbed in correctly, because there are tabs there to lock it in. It's just, I think the tolerances were off a little bit on mine. Do I believe that is a running issue with this figure? I don't think so. I think it is just mine, and maybe it's just me fiddling with him over time. I don't know. But still, he can do most things that you want him to do. He's really fairly stable, and you can get some dynamic poses with him. It would be helpful if the feet could tilt more than what they do, but it's not totally destructive to his overall playability. So honestly, I give his posability, playability about an 8.5. I like him. We're at a 9 and 8.5. Now we're going to go into transformation for this guy. By the way, in terms of scale, I mean, here's a deluxe. I think that's about the right scale for several characters. I would guess a Voyager comes to about right here, and that is maybe even up right here. And that is a good scale as well, because he was bigger than a lot of the other guys. He is not as big as a combiner. This guy stands at about 9 inches tall or so. A combiner stands at about a foot. At least the Combiner Wars combiners tend to stand at about a foot. So he's a bit smaller than them, and I think that works. Should he be even smaller than that when compared to the combiners? Yeah, probably. But again, we have to work with the scale that we're given. So I think that a liter size scale for this guy was perfect. So transformation. He is a little bit of a beast at times. So we will try and make this as easy as we can. Of course, collectors will find it a lot easier, I think, than kids. So keep an eye on what it is I'm doing here, and hopefully it helps you too, or helps your kids or whoever. The feet, we'll put them up first. The feet are on like a hinge back here, and they fold all the way up into the leg and all the way up into the leg like that. We can take this piece down. It is the actual canopy of the, or cockpit I guess, of the plane mode. The chest is actually a false one. We will take the legs and turn them in like this for now, facing each other. And if you look, see if I can show it. If you look in right here, you will see that the shoulder is connected to the wing. You can unpeg that and bring the shoulder out. The shoulder, by the way, has another peg here that also pegs into the chest up here. So it pegs in 2 spots, in the chest right here, and in the wing back right here. Same on the other side. We unpeg that arm and we take it out. We pull the entire chest assembly away, and he looks sort of exploded. And a lot of people find that a little bit jarring and see this, and they get a little nervous about what it is that they are seeing, and I can understand that. That sort of makes sense to me. Nevertheless, we will keep moving forward with this. Next step, take the entire. Maybe I should take this piece off for now. Take this entire backpack assembly, hinge it out, and there's a hinge right here, and bring it all the way up. We can leave this off for now for transformation. You can do it with this on, but in ease of showing you this joint, it was just better to take it off. You can put up the wings. You can kind of get the wings there out. And you can see how this guy's starting to come together. The arms will come up and meet each other, basically, like this to get out of the way. We're going to bring these all the way up and get them out of the way, just like this. And you'll want to straighten those arms out like that. They're just on these two black hinges right here. Then we come to the more difficult section. Let's take his legs and begin to turn them out. Not just down on the black joint here, but right at the hip joint. We'll begin to turn them out and make life easier on ourselves for later on. This whole piece comes forward, and in bringing this whole piece forward, you need to, see if I can explain this well. You need to bend it. Okay, so you bring the whole chest piece forward on this hinge, and then you need to basically bend it up on itself. You can turn his head around if you really want. You bring the whole piece up on itself. And you bring the legs the rest of the way down. Turn the gun arms and straighten the legs down like this, getting them all the way out of the way and pushing this whole section up into place. Okay, like I said, this is where things get a little tricky with this guy. Okay, so you need to turn the arms so that the guns are facing down, basically. The legs, when you bring the legs around, get that wing out of the way. You're going to notice a little peg on the leg. There's a little hole here in this back wing, right here. That peg on the leg needs to go into that hole on the back wing. So you're going to bring it down and bring it in. And you do the same on the other side. You bring that down. And you, well, hopefully, see if I can show while I'm doing it. If I'm real lucky, I'll be able to show while I'm doing it. The thing is, you got to have the legs very much in the exact right position. There. And that goes in just in that manner. Now, most of him is together. And he's looking pretty good. But we need to deal with the trickiest part. This whole body section. These hip pieces are what trip a lot of people up. Because they need to be really squared off. You just heard that one click and that one click. There. They need to be really squared up because you're going to flip down these chest panels here. And this whole section is basically going to fold back. You've folded the hinge all the way out. Now you need to fold the hinge back on itself so that these two pieces here, this part of the hip and this part of the hip, really slide up into right here. This is when it gets tricky. And you get there and you slide it up until it clicks in. It always feels to me like it's going to break. You put down that piece and you put down that piece, and then you take the canopy cockpit section and you bring it all the way down. This piece, if you had it off, well, you can either keep it off and have this be your jet mode, and the wings do move. I guess for flight, it is stylized. It doesn't look like our version of the original jet, but I still like it. Personally, though, I put these down and I take the whatever this is, and I reattach it in this manner. It can swivel around. I still think that it looks good, and I'm a big fan. By the way, you might be asking, what do you do with this thing? The only real storage option that I've seen people use for that is to take it and put it on over the gun right here. This piece of the gun, this protrusion, can fit into the slot right there. And his mask is like this. I don't think it's great. It holds okay, but the minute you knock it, it comes off. It's all right. Now, you saw how the transformation sort of went there. It is certainly difficult in sections, and I guess I should show that this can turn around. It is certainly fiddly in sections. Honestly, his transformation isn't fun. Not really. I would give his transformation about a 6.5, maybe a 7. For a collector who's been fiddling with it a while, it's probably a little bit higher. I haven't transformed this guy in a long time, so that probably didn't help my cause. But you give this to a kid, it's going to be difficult on a bunch of levels. Now, normally I don't show transformation back, but I'm going to take a few minutes just to do it here, because again, there's things you should see going back. So going back, we would, again, take this off just for ease sake and pop the canopy section here up, so that's out of the way. You want to pop these pieces up. This is the first section that's difficult. A lot of people are going to say there's nowhere to put your finger to get it up. I find that the best thing to do is push in right here, and it pops the top, and you can lift it up. Push in right here, and it pops it to let it up. Now, this is what makes me nervous, and this is what I think a lot of kids especially are going to struggle with. You need to get this entire body section where his head is back down. It is latched over pieces of the hip, and you need to push it down. In pushing it down, you really want to hold on back here where my fingers are and push it down. When you're pushing it up, there's no nice delicate way to do it. You just take it and start pushing it up until it fits. It's jarring. Taking it down, again, you push it like that. Now, you need to pull it forward. But as soon as you start to pull it forward, you're going to start putting stress on a joint that's in right here. And that's what makes me nervous. I'm afraid that that's going to break for somebody at some point. If not myself. And you see me here being extremely delicate with it. It comes out. This is not a great joint to stress because it's so small. Now, I don't have any stress marks on mine, so I guess it's holding, but I try not to transform this guy a lot because of that. Now you got his body kind of exploded again, and you can close these pieces back up and turn his head around. Then we come to the underbelly of the plane again. Unpeg the legs from the wings and start to bring them around again. The whole hip piece should move with it. And I guess you can move these arms out of the way for now. Bring them all the way down and move the body sort of out of the way. And now most people would say bring up the body. No, not yet. You need to make sure, again, that these hip pieces, just as we squared them off so that the body would fit up between it going to plane mode, now you need to bring them all the way back, turn the leg all the way back, and turn the leg, and really you're going to try and get those hip pieces in here as squared up as you possibly can, because you have a tab here and a tab right here that should lock into these two ports. Does it do it perfectly? Not really, but we're not going to lock that in yet because we still need to get the arms down as well. Let's worry about his lower body first. The feet, they're easy. The feet just pivot back out. The foot just pivots back out like that, and your legs are finished. The arms, we split them from the top and we bring them down on the black armature that was here. And now we're going to want to bring the body up. You're going to try and get those two pegs that I mentioned in this lower section to go into the hips. It is not that easy, to be honest with you. There, that's up there now. You take this white panel and you turn it like that. You take this white panel and you turn it like that. When you turn this white panel, there is a peg here and a peg back here. You need to put it in the hole right here that my finger is now covering, the hole right here, and the hole up right here on the body. Trying to fit them in both, that can be a little bit challenging sometimes. And you see me being challenged by it right now. Pull the body out. And we will push the wings. If you didn't have it done, push the wings up as far as they can go. There. Got that one in. That's the other thing. I don't think I had the wings pushed up as far as they could go. And now I got that one in. Now I can push this body up and get it in between. Pegging in his hips and pegging in the two arms. That one on that side is done, and on this side it is not done. There. So you can see there's a lot that needs to go pegged in. Last piece is to come back here, bring this whole section down and fold it up on itself and bring that up. And turn this piece and turn this piece. And we have him back in robot mode. His transformation to and from plane to robot mode is tricky. It has its tricky points. He's great in both modes. His paint apps, like I said, are 10. His posability, playability in both modes, there's so much you can do with him. I mean, it's an easy 8.5. Or his paint apps, sorry, are 9. His posability, playability, easy 8.5. His transformation has a lot of things that need to peg in. Now, granted, they all peg in pretty nicely in both modes, but this whole body core section relies on a hinge that's not comfortable. And I think that a lot of kids would kind of struggle trying to figure out where to peg stuff in. As a collector, especially somebody who is going back and forth with him a few times, once you have it, you have it. But I think you're always going to be a bit afraid of that body joint that I pointed out. Anyway, that is a look at this guy. His overall score, by the way, taking everything into account, he is still about an 8 to a 9. You learn to deal with the transformation. I probably fumbled over it a little bit in a few spots, largely because I haven't done it in so long. Anyway, I think that is about all that we can say and do for this guy. He was fully loaded. I'm sorry if this ran on a little bit long, but that's the way it goes sometimes. This is still a great figure. If you don't have a version of Jetfire, Skyfire, this is one seriously worth picking up. Anyway, thanks for dropping by for a visit. And I will see you the next time that we have one right here inside the videos. Pew, pew, pew. Thanks for watching.